Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Crimson Crossover podcast presented by the Field of 68. I'm your host, Christian Sykes, joined as always by Charles Branch, Joey Blackwell, and Michael Harper. Guys, we're back. The full roster is here. It looks like the full Alabama roster is also intact. Um, coming off
Better
a
knock on
big
wood.
knock on wood, coming off a big win versus Tennessee. Alabama secures a double bye in the SEC tournament. And secures another road win over a ranked opponent. Looking pretty trendy as a potential three seed in the NCAA tournament. Overall, 8 game winning streak. Alabama is on the right path going into March as we are recording March 1st because this is March. How you guys doing today? I hope your weeks were okay. We didn't record last week. Anything fun or exciting going on for you guys?
Bama winning and Auburn losing. That's always a good week. Ugh.
just just really kind of in awe in how we pulled off that win last night. I mean, going even from halftime to the 12 and under to the 8 and under. You're trying to figure out what you can take away from a, a loss, but you keep playing and figure out a way to win.
Yeah, I would say that's the second time this season that watching us trying to make a comeback, I just didn't think we were going to get enough stops. Like the game at home against Arkansas, what Acuff and Malik Thomas, I just didn't think we were going to get enough stops. And we did make some three-pointers in that game, but we got to the rim and we made shots. Last night, we finally got some rebounds, and of course we attacked the rim and made shots. And with the style that we play, there are definitely times where we get out to big leads and teams get back into it, or teams against us may get out to big leads and we get back in it. And I think with Tennessee too, Tennessee, we know they're offensively challenged. They don't have a Dalton Connect. They don't have some of the guys that they've had in the past to be that one guy to go get their points. And as we saw when Nate Ament's out too, they really struggle. So it was kind of just like holding the line, keep chipping away. Tennessee's not going to run away from you in this game. And I think I said it last night on the space. What this team may not have in physical toughness, they make up for in mental toughness and grit and just desire and will to keep the fight going, and eventually deliver either that knockout punch or get the decision when it's all said and done. So I think I'm the same with y'all. Still in shock that we won it, but glad that we did because it does really position us well as we head into March for SEC and NCAA tournament.
Absolutely. And I'll say this, the style of the game and the style of play that the game kind of came out to was exactly what Tennessee wanted. Alabama played Tennessee's game and then beat them. And one thing I will say about this team is that this team doesn't quit. They had a 22 shot discrepancy. So Tennessee shot 22 more shots than Alabama. Get out rebounded by 17. You turn the ball over 9 times. Um, and 4 of those times were within the first like 5 minutes of the game. And even at the under 10, when Tennessee gets back out to it, I think it was like either 11 or 13 point lead. You've seen Alabama teams in the past kind of fold at that point. I'm specifically remembering what was it? The Arizona game last year, the Purdue game last year, where you fight all the way back, you get it to within 2 points, and then you just kind of run out of steam, and they end up going on a run, and they put the game away. Um, and that's what's been happening for some Alabama teams of the past. But this team, it seems like when their backs are against the wall, they're really responding well. And I think a large credit needs to go to LeBaron Philon and just the mentality that he has. You could tell last night when it got to the under 4 timeout that LeBaron Philon was about to take over, and LeBaron was going to try to will this team back to victory. And if you have your main guy with that type of mentality that no one can stop me and I'm going to go get these points to win a game, then the team takes on that type of mentality, and then that's the type of players that you'll have. And it just seems like when in crunch time, you're either having LeBaron or you're having Aiden Holloway or Houston Millette versus Arkansas. Guys are going to make the shots because that they believe in themselves and they believe in their teammates to be able to do that.
I'm glad you brought that up because I was going to hit on LeBaron Philon as well. You talk about the look, him shaking his head and all that. There is just something different about how he takes over the game than what we've seen from previous Alabama stars. And that's not to knock guys like Brandon Miller or Mark Sears. I mean, maybe the closest of what I can think about what LeBaron Philon did last night is what Brandon Miller did at Texas A&M in the last game of the regular season. And unfortunately, he fouled out at the last media timeout, or we probably win that game. But Philon can score from all three levels. We may not use that middle level a whole lot, but he's a guy that it's not just trying to get his points from the 3-point line. Like he can attack the rim. Whereas Mark Sears, if he was going to take a game over, you felt pretty confident that it was going to have to be from the perimeter. And I think what helps LeBaron Philon do that, even take games over even more, is because you cannot help off any of these other Alabama players. You just talked about Aiden Holloway and Latrell Wrightsell. And we talked about how efficient this offense has been and how good this team has been as far as shooting the basketball. It allows LeBaron Philon to take it over more because you don't get as much of that help defense. And then you've obviously got to have a good team around you of guys that are willing to let somebody go and take it over and still do their job and not fall apart on the defensive side as well. He's a special, special player. We're obviously very lucky to have him with their circumstances, of course, of him pulling out in the final hour of the NBA draft. But I just don't think there's been an Alabama player since Nate Oates at least has gotten there that can take over a game like LeBaron Philon can.
Yeah, and going off of, with how much this team fought back, I think there are two key players in that. Obviously, LeBaron is one of those guys. A player like him, he really had a rough start to the second half. He didn't score the first 10 minutes of that half. I think he scored a jumper at around the 9:30 mark. But then he is able to bounce back and outscore Tennessee 13, I believe 8 in the final 6 minutes of that game. So even when he's not shooting well, a lot of players are motivated. They play better if they're shooting better. LeBaron still puts that effort in there, whether the shots are falling for him or not. And, he's the prime example of the shots are going to come eventually. In the meantime, you still need to, play your best, especially on the defensive end. And he did that really well. The other player that I think of, though, is Aiden Sherrill. I don't think Bama wins that game if it weren't for Aiden Sherrill. It's kind of made the joke when he got the hard hat at the end that he used to be winded after 10 minutes on the court. And now he's playing. I think he played 33, led the team in rebounds with 8. He had 4 huge blocks. Just the effort between him and Philon, I think, were two key reasons that were able to propel Alabama forward and to get the rest of the team to fight. So credit to both of those guys.
And, you have to talk about Latrell Wrightsell also with 25 points. Just relentless. Just, again, we all know this about Wrightsell is he's never met a shot he doesn't like, which is good. And it's the mentality that, we need to have and want to have. But just the way he was able to free himself up in transition and get to the right spot, and just the quick release that he has, which you have to have against a defense like Tennessee, just to come up big. I mean, even late in the game when he had an open look when we were down 2, he did rush that one a little bit, but I thought it was going in. I mean, as soon as he touched it, I said, okay, there's a go-ahead bucket. So the way he played, and then Aiden Holloway, typically a Tennessee game, a Florida maybe, are typical games that aren't necessarily Aiden Holloway games. They're everybody can switch. they're able to get hands on you and get physical with you back. Well, in the first half, he didn't. I don't feel like he did a great job. Second half, he completely changed his mindset. He started playing through contact, not worrying about it too much. He started using his speed to his advantage. Get in the defender, quick step back. He hit some just big shots. Obviously, the first one he hit to tie it, right before we got the stop, that led to the game winner. But his step back when he got, I can't remember who did he get switched on to him? Did he get Akpara switched on him?
He got Akpara.
Yeah, he got Akpara switched off on him, and he got baseline and just did the quick, quick jab step and then step back. And for the mid range, that we talk about, and maybe we can talk about that
that we don't shoot
later too. Yeah, that apparently people say we never shoot it, that we're not allowed to shoot, but that was just a huge play as well. And so those two guys, I think, deserve a lot of credit too. And I won't steal Charles's thunder because I know he's going to talk about something else with Aden Holloway early, but just the defensive effort that we got from Reitzel and Holloway as well.
Yeah, Aden Holloway should be seriously considered for SEC Player of the Week. I don't expect him to get it. When you look at his offensive numbers, he almost has a triple-double against Mississippi State, falls 3 rebounds short. He only had 12 points against Tennessee, but he was very efficient. He's 5 of 7 from the field and 2 of 2 from the three-point line. But it was his defense this week. He was the guy that got the Josh Hubbard assignment and did not give him space. I can't remember how many points Josh Hubbard eventually got, but when he did get them, Mississippi State was so far down, it just didn't even matter. But he never let him get started.
I think he had 13.
And then, the big thing that I brought up when we were all talking before we got started is you get to the end of the game, Feinlein hits the shot to give us the lead. Tennessee calls a timeout. You might think that Aden Holloway is going to be taken off the floor because he's not. His role is not necessarily on the defensive side, but he is on the floor on the defensive side. He gets into Gillespie, and we obviously come out with the victory. So if you get somebody like Aden Holloway to start giving you more on the defensive side with what he can do on the offensive side, I don't think there's going to be a huge, push in minutes. He's already averaging about 30 minutes a game, but obviously just makes your defense so much better. And then when our defense is so much better and we are playing good first shot defense, now we just got to fix how to rebound the basketball, I guess.
Yeah, I think a lot of the rebound issues, and we talked about this in the group chat. I mean, obviously I think we were out of position quite a bit. Also, Tennessee got some crazy off the back of the rim bounces. Like, I can't tell you how many rebounds I saw go all the way to the free throw line. And typically, you want your guys position under the basket in position to grab that rebound off the rim. But if they're coming out to the free throw line, then you're now too deep into the paint, and it allows the guys that you're boxing out to just come in, fly in, and grab a rebound, which you saw consistently. It felt like we kind of tried to adjust to that a little bit at the end of the first half, and then the rebounds started coming under the basket, which left wide open, lanes for guys to run in from Tennessee and just grab the ball. And so I think there a lot of rebounding, or not a lot, but a portion of rebounding is just luck based and understanding where the ball is going to come off the rim. And then on top of that, it's always going to be hard for Alabama to rebound a ball against the team like Tennessee, because if you go and look at the pure size and like the width of the guys that are on the Tennessee team, like they're just naturally bigger guys because the team isn't built to go run up and down the court. The team is built to play defense, body you, get into your body, wear you down to the point where like they can just assert their will on you. And for Alabama, I mean, you go look at Taylor Bowen, he's probably what, 210, 215 maybe. And he's a big that's going to be going up against the guy that's 235, 240, trying to out rebound. I mean, he's just going to get bodied. So, um, rebounding is an issue, but I don't think it was, at least in my opinion, and I could be wrong off this. I don't think it was for lack of effort from the guys. Like I saw numerous times guys were in position and it was either a bad bounce or they just got bullied just because there's such a big size differential.
Yeah, you could nitpick every possession. There are some that do
Yeah.
stick out to me where all of our guys were still on the floor and the Tennessee guys jumping for it were just being flat-footed. But to kind of what you were talking about as far as Tennessee size, um, Jalen carries 267, Akpar is 242. And so you have both those guys on the floor. And oh, by the way, you typically also have Nate Ament on the floor who's 6'10. So it's not just the width, but they've got three guys typically on the floor that are going to be, 6'8" plus. And we're obviously trying to play a lot more guards because that's where we have our advantage. So it's again, yeah, I understand that Tennessee typically is probably going to get a lot more offensive rebounds than maybe what we would see against other teams. I think it's still disheartening that comparing their offensive numbers to defensive numbers that we got, they got more offensive rebounds than defensive rebounds than we got. That's it's hard to swallow. Makes it a lot easier when you get the win. And we know, if we want this team to make a run to the Final Four or whatever your expectations may be, you are going to run back into teams like Purdue, who play two bigs and Oscar Clough and Kaufman Wren, or you're going to go see Arizona again with Koa Pete and some of those guys they've got. So you either got to find ways to neutralize that, where we typically do a good job of hitting threes and getting out in space, or you got to find ways to close out a few more possessions, um, and try to keep them not only off the backboard but off the scoreboard.
Sorry, I'm just pulling up the first game that we played against them.
So uh one thing that I really liked that we did an adjustment we made in the second half was, and really this is kind of how Nate Oates really wants us to play anyway, but in the second half we rarely let Tennessee get their defense set. And so, even on makes, we were getting the ball right out of the net, pushing it down the floor. You saw some threes. I remember specifically one. You had the ball pushed to half court, and then we got the ball. I think London Jemison made the quick pass to Reitzel in the corner, and he made a three within 8 seconds of the shot clock. And the defense was never set. And it was off of a two, that Tennessee had just made, and we come right back in transition off of a make and get the quick three. We also, the other adjustment that we started doing, we started running a lot of flare screens from the top of the key and the slot, running a lot of flare screens straight into ball screens. And so we started getting a little more movement just up at the top of the key, which helps with a little bit, helps, with teams that are a little more handsy. And we obviously know how Tennessee plays, which we've kind of talked about that before, with how Tennessee plays basketball. I'll be professional and say that they play physical. But so those few adjustments I thought were very, very good. And also kind of to people that critique our system and critique the offensive staff and Nate Oates that say that, we never make adjustments. It just, that kind of proved those people to be incorrect.
Yeah, it's interesting. I was looking at the first game we played against Tennessee. We shot two less shots than we did the first time. So we shot 56 shots. yesterday, and then we shot 58 on earlier this year. Rebounding was almost the same. We got three more rebounds. Shout out Charles Bediako, who got three rebounds because otherwise we would have had. But I mean, just looking at it, we almost shot the same amount of 3-point shots. We shot 6 of 26 and we shot 10 of 27. Got a lot more free throws, a lot more fouls. We had double the amount of fouls. Um, and then rebounding wise, I mean, it was 42 to 33. So, I mean, again, shout out Charles Bediako probably for being able to get those rebounds because, you know, if you think about it, you take away Charles's rebounds, give it to Tennessee, it's 45 to 30. So it's pretty same. But
And if I remember, we had a small lead in the first going into halftime against Tennessee, but I think we were re winning the rebounding margin in that first half, and then
yeah.
they got on the glass and not only got on the offensive glass a little bit, but really shut us down on our own offensive glass when we played in Tuscaloosa.
Yeah, we were winning 39 to 36 in the first half. So, I mean, if you look at the just pure statistics of it, I mean, the games were pretty similar. I think the difference in this game is um, they shot 30, I think they shot what, 38% from the field um, last night, and they shot 47% from the field when they played the first time. So defensive improvements significant there. You also prevented them from getting to the free throw line. You only allowed 8 free throws compared to 25 free throws. So um, just overall, just a really good, I think, really, really good defensive performance. Take out the offense or the defensive rebounding from that statement, but just a really good defensive performance and just one of those gritty wins that you going into March, it's beneficial to see against quality opponents that you can win a game not playing the exact style that you want to play. Um, so I was pretty happy to maybe steal a win from Tennessee.
And it's kind of funny that we've said this before, just in the group chat and in the Discord and in spaces, that this team seems to play better on the road. They seem to thrive in road environments. They seem to really enjoy kind of quieting the crowd. And if you go look at the Vanderbilt game, the guy that enjoys quieting the crowd the most is LeBaron Fallon, and he was out, basically the entire second half. So outside of the Florida game, which I know you can't just take away a game, but Florida's doing what they did to us to everybody right now, as we saw that last night. So outside of that game, we've played very well on the road.
I think we have 8 quality road wins this season.
Is that
Pretty
road? Is that neutral? Does that count neutral side as well?
Probably. Yeah. Away from Coleman.
I mean, which to me that bodes well for your tournament settings too, because you're not just reliant on your crowd to bring energy.
I also like the fact we're currently on an 8-game winning streak. If you want to win the national championship, you have to win 6 games in a row, or 6 games in a row. So at least to have won 6 games in a row plus. I've always liked that being part of, stacking some wins together to try to have some confidence that you can get on a winning streak, or hopefully you just continue this winning streak until the end of the year.
Look, if you can win against Georgia, that's a 9-game winning streak, which is the same amount of winning streak you need to win the SEC tournament and win the national championship. So, I mean, we might as well go for 19 straight wins. I think that's what the number will be when we win in March. But moving forward, let's go to the Georgia Bulldogs. The the Fighting Mike Whites. Mike White is known for being the ultimate floor raiser, but maybe not raising a ceiling of a team beyond potentially just making the NCAA tournament. Much like Alabama, they want to get out and run. They average 89 points a game. They give up 78 points a game. And surprisingly, Alabama averages more rebounds per game than they do. So, Charles, give us the inside scoop on these Fighting Mike Whites.
Since you started with rebounding, they really do rebound as a committee. They don't have anybody. Surreal, their center, he only averages 5.5 rebounds a game and has only gotten double-digit rebounds twice all season, and that was against West Georgia and Western Carolina. But you got guys like Blue Kane and Cannon Catchings who are each around the 4.5, 5 rebounds per game. So it's going to be important for Alabama as we continue to harp on rebounding that it is rebounding by committee. I mean, Blue Kane's going to get in there and do the dirty work. So whatever guard or whoever's on him is going to have to match that intensity both on the offensive and the defensive side. I was telling y'all beforehand, as good as we are on the offensive side and as efficient and how fast that we play, like Georgia scored more points in a game than we have all year. I know it's against worse competition, but Georgia has put up 123 and 120 points in games this season. They are going to want to get out. They are going to want to play fast. And so if they go on a little bit of a run, what does give me confidence with this Alabama team is obviously what we have now done is coming back, I think, 5 times from being down double digits to eventually win games. But we've also seen Alabama get out to big leads and maybe not necessarily surrender those leads or have it get too close, but allowing a team to keep a team around, and especially on what will be a senior night at Georgia, weird tip off. I expect Georgia to be an NCAA tournament team, and they are definitely playing for seeding both in the SEC tournament and the NCAA tournament. And the games in Athens, ever since Nate Oates has gotten there, have been a little strange as well. Um, Last time we played in Athens, I think had to have a 20+ point comeback and gave up a ton of offensive rebounds in the first half. And then Grant Nelson went all Brandon Miller and hit back-to-back threes to put that game away. Obviously, had the game a couple years ago where Georgia's only win in conference play was against us. So weird things happen in Athens. Before we played Tennessee, I would have told you this game is the game I'm more concerned about, just because it is a team that is going to run with you. We have sometimes struggled with teams that are very efficient on the offensive side. Georgia comes in as Ken Palm's number 16 offensive team in the country. We have put these 8 games together. We did finish out the month of February without losing. You got Auburn on deck Saturday at home, senior night, finishing out the regular season. But I'm not going to question this team's mental toughness, mental focus anymore. I hope we put together a good performance, and if we put together a good performance, I expect us to win in Athens.
Yeah, I'm the only thing I get concerned about going into this game is one, it's a quick turnaround game. It's not a Wednesday night game, it's a Tuesday night game, and then it's on the road, which Alabama's done well on the road, but coming off of a Tennessee game that was super physical, you talk about just the amount of minutes guys played. Aiden Shrell coming out playing 33 minutes and having one less day to get his body ready for which ultimately is going to be probably a track meet type of game. You do worry a little bit about tired legs, but I think much like what was the game after the Arkansas game?
LSU at Baton
LSU,
Rouge.
where Alabama came out probably a little bit flat, a little bit tired, and then ultimately settled into the game in the second half. I kind of expect that from Alabama, um, but I think I genuinely think that this Alabama team, if we're gonna talk about seeding and talk about just NCAA tournament, I don't think Alabama can drop to a 5 seed. I think that they're probably pretty locked into a 4 seed in the NCAA tournament. SEC, you just need to win one more game and you're the 2 seed um, in the SEC tournament. So I'm not justifying losing this game, but it probably doesn't hurt you that much. So definitely not any reasons to have any overreactions, but I would prefer to finish the SEC slate going 14-4, which I think, Charles, did you say 14-4 One of
I
us said
thought
14-4.
I thought everybody said 14-4.
No,
Charles and I both said 14-4, and you said 16-2.
No, I said
I
15-3. I said I wouldn't be
Oh, I
surprised
said-
if we
Oh
went.
yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
I said 12-6, so I'm by far.
It still could be
Well,
12-6.
if-
It's still on the
if we don't win
table.
these next,
It
you know,
could be.
yeah,
It could be.
if we don't. So, but you're not allowed to hope your prediction comes true, Joey. So
Oh, fair enough. I like this team to prove me wrong.
I mean, honestly, to be fair to you, Christian, you couldn't see LeBaron Fallon not playing in the second half against Vanderbilt because of cramps, and Amari Allen and Aiden Holloway not playing against Tennessee, and I mean, you're not far off either. So,
And Texas has been a lot better as the year's gone on. That's still a game I look at as we should have won that game.
agree.
I'm
don't-
just
I
saying
don't
we
think
should have been
were
16-2.
close to
We should have been 16-2.
We should have been.
But Michael, Joey, you guys got any thoughts on Georgia?
No, I think Charles
I
covered
think-
everything from.
Yeah, I will say, I know this is Georgia and Auburn on the schedule, and everybody's going to laugh at both these teams because let's be real, they're not the best teams in the conference this year. But this is a pretty dangerous week. Playing Georgia on the road and playing Auburn, fortunately, in Coleman this time. These are two teams that have their backs against the wall right now. While these games don't matter as much to Alabama at this point in the season, other than seeding purposes, these games mean everything to these two teams that Alabama's going to be facing. Both Georgia and Auburn, I think it was Charles that said this. These are two teams that have their backs against the wall. That every win increases their chances of making it to the tournament if they still have a chance. So I know Auburn, I believe, just according to Lenardi, I think they just fell the first four out. I think, or maybe four play-in. I can't remember. So it really means a lot to them. That being said, I mean, to have a losing record, even if Auburn wins both their games this week, they'd still have a losing record in conference play. It's kind of hard to see them moving on, but still being able to hang their hat on a IBOB victory to close out the regular season would mean everything to them. So even though these teams aren't the best, you need to take these two teams very seriously. They're dangerous. So hopefully that, to be more specific, I think against Georgia, I mean, Charles already broke the team down. This team they don't rebound especially well, but they rebound evenly across the board, which is something that we're going to have to look out for, aside from, Blue Cane and I think Kenan Catchings has almost 5 rebounds. And then Cyril has 5.5. So hopefully this team will maybe have an off night on the boards and Bama can capitalize and not come out slow like they did after that Arkansas game.
Well, I know Georgia specifically too. There will be a lot of movement, I feel, in the SEC standings over this last week because there is kind of a log jam, really between seed 6 and seed 10. And so, if we expect to be the 2 seed, there's a good chance you could see Georgia again for your first game in the SEC tournament. So, being able to have that win under your belt in Athens and then see them 1 week later, I like thinking of the mental side and just having confidence and all that. So, with how fast Georgia has been playing, with how fast that we like to play as well, you go into that game hopefully already having a win against Georgia. You would hope that that's something that, you get out to a hot start against Georgia in the SEC tournament or whoever you may be playing and put them away early so that you can set yourself up well for semifinal Saturday.
Fortunately, we do have the Wednesday off before Wednesday and Thursday off before you're not playing until Friday, so you have time to rest. Unlike some teams in the state, they have to play on Wednesday night. But we can break down that team next if you want.
I was about to say another year, another no Wednesday night sadness for the Tide.
Yeah, I can list 7 additional reasons why certain teams in the state have to play on Wednesday night sadness over the premier team in the state, the Alabama Crimson Tide, the university. Well, we got a IBOB part 2. Alabama won the first one in Neville Cracker Jack Box Arena. this is probably the biggest arena that Auburn has played in all season. Their biggest crowd they probably have seen all season this Saturday, when the Crimson Tide will face the Fighting War Eagle Tigers. Charles, what do you got for us for this Auburn team?
Can I just say
First of
something real
all,
quick?
yeah, go
Can I say
ahead.
something really quick? I was just gonna say I love how people come to us for our professionalism and our objective commentary on this podcast.
Well, I'm about to prove that point
All
even
right,
further.
to you,
And I was
to you,
telling y'all this.
Charles.
I was telling you this a little bit before we got started. But being on X, follow a few Auburn people or have some Alabama fans who feel like Auburn people are having a lot of good opinions about their team and how they actually are done watching this team play. They don't want to see them in the NCAA tournament. And I'm just really perplexed because I feel like that goes against the Auburn creed, in my opinion. I mean, the last part of the Auburn creed is I believe in Auburn and love it. Like some people might need to check their diploma and see if they really do love Auburn. And in saying that, I think this game down for Auburn's perspective, it really just comes down to pride. Like they are obviously going through something right now. I think Mark Pope has is right. They got cheated at Auburn, and if Auburn doesn't win that game against Kentucky, they're really reeling right now. Now we can Auburn is still a very good, efficient offensive team. We saw that the first time around. Their defense is really struggling. We've seen Auburn get hot at times in Tuscaloosa. It's senior day. So it really comes down to, in my opinion, like which team is going to keep their emotions in check. Is Auburn going to be able to play for pride and good performance together, or if they take an early punch from Alabama, do they just fall apart and like how their fans want them, just basically let's get the season over with? Or do they knock down some shots, get some confidence, and becomes, maybe another classic IBOB again? So it's a game I feel confident in because of how well we're playing, because of how focused we are. Auburn's, they've got still got some good players. Pettiford's been playing better. Um, Keyshawn Murphy, who's been in college basketball for a long time, kid from Ramsey, now playing for an in-state school. He's obviously going to want to play well, uh, but I still I feel good about our chances. I feel good about it being a successful night Saturday in Tuscaloosa.
I'll say this. I think Stephen Pearl's done a great job this season and should be extended. Just wait until he gets his guys. I think the real issue with this Auburn team is that they don't have the right personnel for his defensive system. And so I really think that, as they have struggled defensively this year just because he hasn't been able to get his guys. And I think Alabama fans, that are listening to this, just wait till next year. Once he gets his guys, they're going to be a force to be reckoned with. But I think that they should just give him another chance, in my opinion.
We talked about Chad Baker Mazara being kicked off USC. He'll be 27 next year. So do you think Auburn will take him back?
I
Because
mean,
there's gonna be a way that he finds additional eligibility, right?
yeah, I mean, you think about it, Auburn's best seasons were when Chad Baker Mazara was on their roster, so they might as well figure out how to bring him back. He didn't play a full season, so maybe they can sue the NCAA and get a temporary restraining order, like some players that we had on our team that they decided to joke around about. So
Or
who
Alabama
knows?
could pull a big, or Alabama and Nate Oates could pull a big brain move and recruit him and get him to come to Alabama just so the NCAA strikes it down and finally puts an end to these like 8 and 10 year players.
Should we honor Charles Bediako for Senior Day on Saturday night?
Well, he's playing in the
Senior
FIBA.
Citizen Day,
He's
maybe.
playing in the
I guess
FIBA World Cup right now. He had 10 points in the game with Canada tonight. So, I mean, I don't. That's an interesting point. Read like Charles Bediako. How does that even work now? Because I know Nate. Well, first of all of his classes are online. So anyone saying, "Oh, well, he's not with the team" or whatever, like, is Alabama just letting him go and do this and then come back to the team and then like it's real interesting, just kind of what that dynamic is. But Um, I think that they should because he never got a senior day. If you think about it, he never got a senior day. So, I mean, the walk-ons get senior days. Why can't Charles Bediako? He played 5 games this season.
And he's been the scout team center for
Yeah.
a lot of the year until he left to go back to Canada for FIBA.
If you think about it, the manager team, they probably need a center. I wonder if Charles Bediako could help him out with
It's
that.
true. He should play for the manager's team.
I could have 40 points a game.
But on a serious note, this Auburn team is a dangerous team. They're a team that beat Florida earlier this year. I think it was at Florida. They beat Kentucky. Regardless of whether or not you think who should have won, they still beat Kentucky, and Kentucky is a tournament team.
Beat St. John's. Probably should have beaten Houston.
Yeah, I mean, this Auburn team's definitely, when they're hitting their shots, is a dangerous team, and it's a team that is going to be coming into Coleman on Saturday with obviously the goal is always to beat the team that you're playing, but their sole focus is probably going to be to beat this Alabama team, and they'll do anything in their power to do so. So it's one of those things where if you're Alabama, we talked about I talked about on the space. Are you playing for the front of your jersey or are you playing for the back of your jersey? And I think for the large part of this season, Alabama's been playing for the front of their jersey. And I think to close out the regular season, what better way to do it than beating Auburn on your senior night, and especially for a guy like LeBaron Philon, who's from the state, got recruited by Auburn, decommitted from Auburn, or a guy from like Aiden Holloway who played for Auburn, and left and came to Alabama. Like these games for those guys probably mean a little bit more than maybe some of the other guys on the team. So I'm excited for Saturday. Anything else?
Hey, let's shout out to Grant Nelson being pulled up to the Nets and I think he had 11 points today. Actually,
11, 4, and 3 blocks.
Yeah, so we're really starting to see a Nate Oates, Nate Oates pipeline to the NBA. And I think Grant Nelson took some of Noah Clowney's minutes away today. So now we have not only do we have Nate Oates G League players taking away minutes from, current, Alabama players. Now we got G Leaguers taking away minutes from, former Nate Oates players.
Well, if you think about it, is Grant Nelson ruining high school athletes' chances?
I guess so.
Such a shame.
No, really, shout out to him though. Like I really hope he gets to stick around for the rest of the year. He's one of even though he was a transfer, he's one of my all-time favorite guys that played for Alabama. Just so many great moments. Never forget obviously the poster he made in the Final Four over Klingon. He had the block against Cooper Flagg, which I know both of those were losses, but then he also had the North Carolina game where he went nuclear, and just so many big moments after big moments. It was kind of for him, it was like the bigger the game and the brighter the lights were, the better he played. And so I hope he continues to get that chance in the league.
He went on a stretch to end last year, maybe over the last 10 games, where you were going to get one Grant Nelson coming down the lane highlight dunk. Like that, he had to hit that quota every game. And as much as I may struggle with things that happened last year with last year's team, Grant Nelson is not part of that struggle. I really wish for the 2 years that we got Grant Nelson that we could have had a fully healthy Grant Nelson. But even with the things he had to play through for this Alabama team, not just with the injuries, but at times having to play out of position and some things like that. He's obviously part of the most historic Alabama team in Alabama history. Of course, got Alabama back to the Elite Eight last year. He's one of those guys I have no qualms with. I feel like he is a guy who played for the front of his jersey every night he got the opportunity to while he was at Alabama.
Yeah, and he signed a 10-day, so I don't know if they can re-up his 10-day, but if he can figure out his shooting, he's going to be an NBA player. I think that's the shooting and injuries. If he can figure out those two things,
Yeah.
um,
And his game is perfectly suited for the league. The way he can attack and the way he can get to the rim just off the bounce with his size and the way the paint is so open with the NBA lane with the widened lane. The game is just perfect for him if he can, like you said, get healthy and he can develop his shot or improve his shot.
absolutely. Okay, for just some housekeeping things, we got Weekly Joe. They baseball team lost a tough one today against Houston, but did I think they did win the Frisco Classic. So they went 2-2 this week, or 3-2 this week. And then Weekly Joe will be out this week. We have obviously Blue Collar Podcast. I think that'll be out this week. Obviously, this one will be out. We'll have a space, I believe, on Saturday. Just maybe to recap the regular season, recap the Auburn game, um, and then we have Tide Machine.
Well,
Um,
breaking news with the SEC tournament and the NCAA tournament, my hope is also to bring back cross court for some episodes.
Yeah, we'll work on that. We will have a bracket challenge for those of you who didn't listen to the space last night. We will have a bracket challenge like we do every year. I'm going to be working on getting some of the sponsor prize packs like we did last year. Hopefully we can get a Heat and J&J sponsorship again for you guys. And other than that, super excited for the final week of the regular season and excited to get into tournament play with you guys. And hopefully we're, rolling this podcast all the way through April when we're hanging quite a few more banners. But um, other than that, we will talk again soon and roll tide.
Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.
Old